Bozi. I'm a race mechanic on the number 14 Lexus RCF GT3, and I'm here in Charlotte getting ready to head down to Sebring, Florida for the 12 Hours of Sebring.
It's hilarious. Ah! Already getting in the candy, Travis.
We typically have hotel rooms on race weekends, but this time we switched it up and had an 11-bedroom house for the pit crews of both the number 12 and the number 14 Vasser Sullivan Lexus RCF GT3, and it was really fun to be able to spend the time together, especially with this game room. We had a bit of fun exploring our lodging for the weekend, but decided to wrap up pretty early because we had an early start the next day. One of the nice things about this house is it had a variety of wings with individual rooms and plenty of bathroom space. We were in the van by 7 a.m. so we could grab some breakfast and arrive at the track before 8 a.m. IMSA sets rules for when trailers can be opened each race weekend just to make things equal for everyone, and here at Sebring that was set for 8 a.m. that morning. Our first few minutes at the track were spent catching up with colleagues and members of other teams and catching up with some of our own team members that we might not have seen in the last few weeks. Once the 8 a.m. hour started to approach, our truck drivers started to drop those lift gates and get us access to the race cars and our tools. The race cars are typically the last things to go into the trailers, so they're often the first things to come out. Typically, we roll them away and get them out of the way so we can get some of the other pieces out and then start rolling out all of our other equipment. The bottom floor on our trailer contains a lot of pit lane equipment, fuel rigs, timing stands, stuff like that, while the top level contains the race car, and then ahead of that is spare bodywork and toolboxes and all the other pieces we might need. You can see here that all of this equipment is organized very efficiently as we try to use every bit of space on the trailer. Once the race car is out, our next course of action is to build up the floor. You can see this kiwi tile here that we've already started to build up, and then from there we proceed to build up our awnings, which connect to the top of the trailers. Things flow much smoother once the awnings are up because we now have a shaded space to work. Some teams will immediately start warming up their engines and gearboxes and getting everything checked out. For us, we're getting our setup gear configured and getting everything ready so we can check the numbers on our car. While Nate is working on those weight plates, I am in here setting up our nitrogen bottles, which will help us raise the car and remove and fasten the wheels when needed. We wrap up our initial setup by getting the banner mounted on the front of our tent.
We got our paddock space set up, and now we're here for a technical inspection appointment. So we're queued up here. IMSA does a technical inspection at the beginning of the weekend where all cars get looked at. So everybody's kind of lined up right now. Once we get done with that, we'll have an opportunity to go to lunch. And our car is over here behind the corner with a very special gold and black Mobil 1 50th anniversary livery.
We focus on getting a lot of protein and carbs on race weekends just because we expend a lot of energy moving around the paddock, working on the car, and doing things like practice pit stops. Once lunch is wrapped up, we finish up in tech and head back to get our engine warmed up for the afternoon. The Lexus RCF GT3 uses a modified version of the 5-liter 2UR GSC V8 engine found in the production car that's bored and stroked to 5.4 liters. Our last task of the day is to take the car out on track for some photos with Mobil 1, who's celebrating their 50th anniversary this year and has a handful of cars that were running special liveries for the race. Since we had to stay late for photos, our teammates were nice enough to make dinner for us. Here, Jesse, who's the car chief of the number 12 car, is prepping stuff for the grill where we had burgers and hot dogs and all kinds of veggies, and it was awesome to just be able to sit down and relax together and enjoy some time in the evening. One of the best features of the house had to be the fire pit area on the patio that overlooked the lake. It was just so relaxing and a nice way to wind down at the end of a long day. That rest was helpful as we had an even earlier start the next morning for the practice day, which had 3 practice sessions. It's almost 7 a.m. on Thursday morning. We're at the track already because we have some photos for this special Mobil 150th anniversary livery. So we just got the engine warmed up since it's going to be driven on track. Basically get it prepped like it's going out for a session, and then here shortly we'll take it on to turn 17. After some fun putting our comms director on the spot for his birthday, we head out on track for the first practice session. The day starts moving quickly, and the first 2 practice sessions and lunch seem to just fly by before we head back to our tent to set up for later in the day.
It's time for night practice here at Sebring. And we're heading down to the pilot for us. It's finally starting to cool off. It's been incredibly hot today, so hopefully with the sun setting it'll be a little bit cooler for this side.
Night practice is pretty busy as this is our only opportunity to prepare for the later hours and the finish of the Sebring 12 hours. So we make a bunch of adjustments, try a few different combinations, and do a handful of practice pit stops. Busy day today. 3 sessions. We're finally wrapping up. It's just past 11 p.m. About a 17-hour day today, so tomorrow should be a little bit better. We got qualifying and no other sessions tomorrow, so we'll see how it goes. We get to sleep in a bit and enjoy the lake since the qualifying session isn't very early.
3. Come take a tour of our paddock space and see what we got going on here. So starting out here, we have our number 14 Lexus RCF GT3, and this is our kind of number 14 garage side. So our tents are set up so they're connected in a way that we can use them just like we're at the shop. On the other side here, we have our teammates with the number 12 Lexus RCF GT3, and then their toolboxes and our toolboxes. And all of our tools are organized to be identical on both sides, so we can hop over back and forth if we need to help each other, and everything's sorted in a very specific manner so that whenever we need something, we can quickly go to it and find what we need to use in the moment to make adjustments or changes on the cars. Going down here, hi Chris. Down here we have our success wall, which is kind of a cool thing that the team does to commemorate successes, whether that's pole positions, podiums, or wins. And that leads us over here to the left where we have our hospitality area. So this is a space where we can relax or chill, or it's a space for our guests or partners when they visit that they can kind of get out of the elements, come and have a beverage and just, see what's going on. Up here behind this door is our engineering office and the driver lounge. So that's where they spend time, where they meet and kind of go through math and crunch all the numbers. Back here we have our tire technician area, so this is where our tire technicians Chris and Matt prepare all the tires for all these practice sessions and the race. Because there is 12 hours of racing, there are a lot of Michelins to prepare. And then over here we kind of have a utility area where there's a lot of stuff that we can deal with and put there. And then behind there we have our kind of crew side of the transporter, which is where we change, where we have snacks and so on. Before qualifying kicks off, we have one more set of photos where we're taking both of the cars out over to turn 17 in front of Lexus Hospitality to get some team pictures. Jack put the car on pole, so we did some media, and then immediately after that headed to technical inspection. Once we were done in technical inspection and released, we brought the car back to our paddock space and started tearing it down to do race prep for the next day. In addition to that, I also hosted some Lexus guests and gave them a tech talk about the car and showed them some of the components that they see on the race car that can relate back to the car they have at home. Have something different today. Have this E-Celsius performance temperature pill that I'm going to take. That's basically going to track my internal kind of core body temperature today, and I'll combine that data with this polar heart rate strap, and then we'll be able to overlay that and see what it takes to do 12 hours of racing in the Florida heat.
First order of business upon arrival to the track is to do an engine warm-up with our engine tuner from Lexus Racing, who checks over all the vitals. Nate here is going to run up the engine. We're just going to get everything warm, engine and gearbox to kind of spin it up, make sure we look good, and then we'll proceed with the rest of our morning. Once the engine and gearbox are warmed up, we head over to technical inspection with our engineer Jeff to get one final look and make sure that everything is in spec before we get the car ready for race day. Once technical inspection is complete, I head back to the transporter and start getting ready for the day, gearing up in my fire suit and the rest of my safety gear before walking back outside to have a little breakfast that my teammates have brought over. Carbs and protein are key for a long race day, but also it's always nice to have a little sweet treat. Heading to pit lane for the recon lap and to get our race day started, and then we'll grid the car up and get some things going. Once the car is gridded up, I head back to our paddock space to start tearing down some of the things to make our jobs easier at the end of the race day. I head back to the grid a few minutes before pre-race ceremonies and once again find it to be incredibly packed, which has been a theme since last season, and it's incredibly cool to see that so many fans are coming out to IMSA races. The green flag for 12 hours of racing comes soon after, and pretty quickly after that, our neighbors are doing their first pit stop of the day. We follow them soon after, and you can see a pit stop from my POV here. This is my view of one of the pit stops in the race, where I hop down, hit the air jack so the car rises up, go outside and hang the front tire for my front changer Nate. Run back where Derek hands me one of the rear tires, and I head back there to give that to Zach, who's going to fasten that rear. While I'm doing that, the drivers are getting swapped and Chris is helping them. We clear the tires, I get them back to the wall so they're out of the way of our teammates. I get handed an adjustment wrench where I make an adjustment to the rear wing to try to help handling for the drivers. Once that's complete, I make sure to get out of the way and clear out anything I can so our car can depart and our teammates can depart as well. About halfway through the race, our gearbox technician Albert checks the wheel guns and sockets just to make sure that they're at peak performance.
On the brakes, reverse the lock, off the brakes, lift down, continue.
As the race winds down, we're battling a variety of cars, and in this instance, we're trying to beat the number 77 Porsche off of pit lane. This type of pit stop is a little bit trickier because our teammates behind us actually enter their box first, so Jack had to bring in our car a little sideways. This makes things a little bit closer to the wall, but fortunately everything was planned out properly and we were able to quickly clear out our tires to allow our teammates a clean exit. Since the car was close to the wall, I drag it backwards a little bit to help our driver be able to take off a little bit better. Nice.
77 will still stop.
We were able to defeat that 77 Porsche on pit lane and give Jack an opportunity to battle it out with some of the other leaders. Now that our final pit stop of the day had been completed, it was all up to Jack to put the action down on track as we all waited and watched to see what he would be able to do out there.
Oh! Big time Jack Hawksworth on the Risi Ferrari. Daniel Serra and Jack Hawksworth side by side. The Ferrari's off.
Right in the face. Now we're gonna go down the